verdad, pero esta vez me separaron. Dijeron mucho, pero no se olvidaron de callarse. Cuánto odio por mi piel sembraron. Dijeron historia y la tergiversaron. Dijeron guerra, muerte, odio y nos culparon. Enfermedades, epidemias nos contagiaron. Exterminación de mi fauna complace a tus mercados. Dijeron riqueza y todo se lo robaron. Oro, platino, diamante, a la fuerza se lo llevaron. Y la actualidad es tan triste que todo aquello que dijeron es lo mismo que hoy se dice más. ¿Quién dice, quién explota, quién se beneficia? El asesino, el mismo que da las noticias. Hay una cuenta fácil que siempre me da las grandes riquezas, de dónde vienen y hasta dónde van.
Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao. Nat Dre es afroresistencia, cultura ancestral, afrodescendencia, solidaridad. Esa es la esencia, la diáspora africana eleva la conciencia, conciencia negra, universal, progresista y transcultural. Negros y mestizos revolucionando, pueblos caribeños y africanos en un solo bando. No más explotación, colonialismo interno, no más confusión, supremacía blanca en el Babilón. Soy rojo, negro y verde, afroliberación. Mientras más negro, más represión. Somos creadores, recupera tu visión. Mi visión es educar con amor, contra el silencio, vivo sin temor. Independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao, independiente como los Mao Mao, concluyente como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao,
como los Mao Mao. Somos resistentes como los Mao Mao.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, good people? This is the Rise Up Morning Show. How y'all doing out there? Y'all good?
I feel blessed.
Feel blessed?
Everything good, yeah.
Brother
doing
said
good.
You feel blessed. You know it's wild. Why you feeling blessed? I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, I just had a little problem over there. My green screen was going somewhere. It's kind of bugging out, but we back. We in effect.
We back, man, like we never left.
Back like we never left. What's happening? I haven't been on here in a while, man. I'm realizing this, man.
Same here. I feel like it's been a couple episodes.
Okay. Thought I got dropped off the roster. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you quit on this, man.
Hey, man, you know, I ain't getting no checks, so it could have been that.
You was waiting for your check.
Yeah, look at here, boy. Don't check for me unless you got a check for me. Anyway, it's the Rise Up Morning Show. You know what we do around these parts. I am Kalonji Changa alongside the comrades, Fernando and Ikemba. The rest of the comrades on vacay or something like that. You know what I mean? Don't tell them what they be doing. They sensitive asses. Anyway, shout out to the crew.
Shout out.
No doubt. Today is October 30th. You know what I mean? Today is a day of power. It's not a good day. It's a good day for us, but today is also the day that one of our legendary ancestors was captured. And I'm talking about none other than Nat Turner. You know what I'm saying?
Legendary.
Legendary, one of our greatest heroes. Some people know him as Reverend Nat Turner. Nat Turner was a carpenter. He was enslaved, and he staged a 4-day rebellion of both enslaved and free Black folks out in Southampton County, Virginia. So we remember Nat Turner. They said that his rebellion resulted in the death of 55 white men, women, and children. And of course, these crackers retaliated. Nat Turner was captured a few months later. I believe that the rebellion took place August 21st. I believe it was August 21st through August 25th. And he ended up being captured. That was in 1831. He ended up getting captured, a few months later, which was October 30th of that year. And he was executed I believe the 11th of November, if I'm not mistaken. Got to get my dates random, a little off. I haven't been on the platform in a while. But yeah, today was the day this farmer found him and whatnot. And, you know, he went to trial, found guilty on November 5th. I believe November 5th this year is the election year here in the U.S. And it's also the anniversary of Nat Turner being found guilty. Of course, he was executed. He was beheaded because these crackers wanted folks to know, look, if you rebel, then you can have a problem, you can have an issue. So they executed him. It's been stated that they took pieces of his skin and made purses out of it. You know, they took his skull and they gave away bones for souvenirs and whatnot. And it's said that there's a few people now in the state of Virginia that still have remains of Nat Turner, of his body. And I pray that for those who carry those remains, that Nat Turner's, from Nat Turner's body, I hope that they feel all that energy that needs to be felt. You know what I'm saying? Because you are a strange kind of, yeah, to say the least.
Sick people, man.
Yes, very sick. But yeah, they dissected and flayed him. And like I said, man, they, you know, I mean, they held his skin and bones as like, you know, I think they said somebody had one of his ears and they just picked them apart.
Ain't that like, you know, it makes me think, because we talk a lot of times about our movement in the 50s and the 60s and the examples, particularly like J. Edgar Hoover, right, and this whole thing, you know, making sure that, you know, if you want to be a revolutionary, have people thinking if you're going to be a revolutionary, you're going to be a dead revolutionary, and just, you know, making examples out of our freedom fighters. But it's just like that history, man. I remember even like with the Stoner Rebellion, reading about that and what they did with the Angola Africans that rebelled, you know, chopped their heads off, man, put them on spikes, and like laid it across the road or lined it up across the road so people who were walking down the road would see, you know, what happened to them. But yeah, just like striking fear into the hearts of African people. Like, this is what happens when you go up against us.
Yeah, I mean, the natives of this country, the indigenous folks that they call Indians, you know, when people talk about scalping, you know, they talk about a native scalped the white man. Nobody wanted the white man dirty ass hair. You know what I'm saying? They scalped the natives. They would put their scalps.
All their hair ain't dirty, is it?
I don't know, man. Shout out to the allies out there. You know what I'm saying? You
gotta be politically correct with the camp out here.
You know what I'm saying? Look, sorry guys. You know, anyway, y'all know what I'm talking about. If your hair ain't dirty, it's all good. But
he's smooth.
Some of your dirty ass ancestors, rotten asses that still exist today, you know, fuck them. But anyway, pardon my English. The views and opinions of Kalonji Changa might not be the views of everybody, but
I just remember, like, we'll always remember what Malcolm said, man, in his last message. Be like, not all white people, but most white people. If I say all white people, they might call me a racist.
We got some comrades and some allies out there that we rock with, and they know who they are, so we don't have to, you know. I know I'm not apologizing, because if they're comrades or allies of mine, then they already know what time it is.
That's what I was about to say. Those who are real comrades and real allies, they don't get mad when they get that.
They know who we talking about.
Yeah.
Every now and then you get somebody, you know, some Captain Saber Cracker, they want to come along. Well, he really doesn't mean what he's saying. Look, I don't need you to talk for me. Get out of here. I was speaking at a joint one time, and I'm not going to name no names, but one of European cat that organized out here. He's cool. I rock with him and whatnot, man. You know, I was hosting this panel. So then afterwards, this other white organizer woman comes up to him, and I guess, you know, she tried to apologize for me or whatever. So he comes up to me afterwards. He's like, yo, man, you know somebody named such and such? I'm like, yeah, I know who that is. He said, man, she come up to me apologizing for you for what you said about white folks. She's like, I know. He's like, I know Kalonji. I don't give a fuck about all that. So, it's just what it is. So folks like that know, they know. And if you're offended, then so what? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're offended, imagine how we feel.
Right.
Anyway, moving right along. Don't get me in the soapbox.
Yeah, just real quick to get back to, Nat Turner, the importance of, him and his story. I was thinking because we recently we linked up with an organization of Afro-Mexicans, and we're learning about how crazy it is for our brothers and sisters in Mexico, But they were speaking about Gaspar Yanga, is one of the early
Gaspar Yanga,
Gaspar Yanga, you know what I mean? One of the early Maroons in, I think that's like the 1600s.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it was deep. It was deep. The story was deep. And so, just seeing how, all these rebellions kept going years after years all over. And definitely, Nat Turner is one of those most important ones for us Africans.
And I'm glad you're raising up Gaspar Yanga because, and some people pronounce him Yanga, same brother, just Fernando threw that twist on there for y'all that don't know. Reminded y'all that he can still do it. But no, it's so many different freedom fighters who have fought these bastards tooth and nail. But back to what you were saying in regards to, you mentioned Nat Turner, you mentioned the Stono Rebellion and how they take these body parts. They are notorious for this. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You got to look at what they did to Che Guevara, chopping his hands off. You look at
Lumumba, man.
I was gonna say Lumumba. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how they get down because they want to try to kill the spirit as well. You know what I'm saying? So they want to kill you and kill you again. But the thing is about that, the thing that they just don't quite understand is that the more you do on that level, the more fierce we return. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because those who are in fear of your tactics, that's one set of individuals. But then those of us who use that reminder as cannon fodder and fuel, well, we're positively displeased. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we don't believe that that Mother Africa, you know what I'm saying, or that the universe or life itself has put us in a position to just suffer and toil eternally. That's some nonsense, and we definitely don't believe that. But anyway, you're checking out the Rise Up Morning Show, man. So thank you, brothers, for resisting, because resistance is a foreign word these days. You know what I mean? And the state, their propaganda machine, they'll make you feel like because the enemy advances, whether it's the US, Israel, France, Spain, Germany, Portugal, whoever, they'll make you think that because they push back that you're defeated. I was looking at some of the Israeli news, and they was pumping this garbage talking about how many of the Palestinians were relieved at some of the assassinations of the Hamas leaders and the Hezbollah leaders because they felt like, things that go back to normal. There is no normal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Things going back to normal for the Palestinians would be like things going back to normal for Africans who were kidnapped and enslaved and brought to these different ports around the globe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Business as usual is different here.
They just moved to a fast-paced genocide. Their normal they're talking about is a slow-paced genocide. Absolutely.
So it's like, so you got put in a microwave instead of a crock pot. We don't want to be cooked. You know what I'm saying? It's not, so that's just, but that's the propaganda that these bastards will feed because they know that there are folks who'll be like, yeah, I wish they just stopped. And it's the same thing as the African on the plantation that's afraid to run. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, when Master's all right, he feeds us. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, we don't want no damn massa. You know, that's what we're dealing with here. But anyway, checking out.
Real quick too,
we're
about. Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, them being able to control the narrative is what it undermines resistance. It's part of the strategy, you know, because the resistance, the narrative of resistance isn't taught to our children. Yesterday, I was observing someone's class. It was an American history class, and they're talking about U.S. expansion. And you know, the lesson was on U.S. expansion. It was talking about the sort of like certain events that took place in U.S. history that led to the expansion of the United States all the way to the Pacific, right? And so when I was talking to the students afterwards, you know, they was doing the evaluation, just was having that conversation with them as far as just like how they're learning this U.S. history and just understanding like this is a victor's perspective of U.S. development. You know, like what about the voices of the Native Americans and the Africans during this development? What are they saying while all of this is happening? And so it's important for you guys to hear those voices, because then we get to a point where we are now. And because you didn't hear those voices, when we come along and we carry on that tradition, that legacy of resistance, they looking at us like eyeballs, like, you know, like we on the wrong side of history. You know what I'm saying? And they're thinking like the colonizers, like this is a part of, you know, the development. They're part of this project and this design, you know, and they look at themselves as one with that. But no, our ancestors, man, was trying to like separate, get away from these people. The indigenous people were fighting for their land. And so when you see indigenous people today fighting for their land, you're supposed to join in that fight. That's a history of resisting against settler colonialism. So, you know, who's wrong? Who's right or wrong? The people, if this is their land, like they're in the right to say, get the hell off my land, you know?
Right. Yeah. You know, we're in a weird situation, man. We're dealing with, again, it's propaganda. And they're doing what they're supposed to do. But that's why it's important for the work we're doing here at Black Power Media Reloaded. We charge colonialism, you know, and other platforms. It's important because folks need to counter the narrative. Because if you don't, then you will be going to hell in a handbasket. And, you know, that's a hot and lonely road. Anyway, checking out the Rise Up Morning Show. We will be back at you in a minute. We're going to go to a quick break, quick Black Power break, a PSA from our sister, Baina Bello. Y'all stay tuned. If you have any thing that you need to report, if you need to put information out to the people, you have events, so on and so forth, make sure you send it to us, mediablackpower@gmail.com. And we're not promising we posting everything, because some of y'all are sending some real crazy shit. I don't know why y'all sending us some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And I know that there's some of y'all been trying to get me on the phone. I get a lot of emails and all that. I apologize. I am busy. I get a lot of folks saying like, hey, brother, call me such. A lot of people telling me that they want me to help do things that are personal. Now, if you're talking about doing something that's, you know, political, or things that are, you know, in alignment with our community, great. But if you're just trying to be famous and whatnot, I can't help you because I ain't famous. You know what I mean? And that ain't the kind of party we got going on over here. But anyway, if you have any PSAs, whatever.
And obviously, if the bourgeois element in America, the root and the lead in the...
Make sure you send it to us. And I see Kimber was giving you that Malcolm message. He said, obviously, the bourgeois and elite. Anyway, we're going to go to this quick break. I don't know what the hell's wrong with Kimber. We'll be right back at you.
Rise up.
80 fragile nation, land of the unexpected. You ask for more from Heritage Heritage, and now it's coming. Get ready for an unforgettable experience on Saturday, November 16th at 7 p.m. at the Coral Springs Center for the Arts. Join Yol de Rose and an incredible lineup of talented artists as they present a powerful play that proudly showcases the history of our beloved country, helping us to truly understand. Heritage is a collective effort involving more than 40 artists and technicians, all coming together to bring Haiti's rich cultural heritage to life. 10 remarkable voices will embody the roles of 10 brave female ancestors who made immense sacrifices in the battle for Haiti's liberation. The cast includes Carole Demesma, Laurence Durand, Béatrice Quebro, Tiffane, Misty Jean, Donald Z. Theodore, La Famille Soleil, Darlene Desca, Fatima, Annie Alert, Riva, and Richelle Guillaume, all reenacting the pivotal roles these women played in building our resilient nation, Haiti. Heritage is the original creation of Yol de Rose in collaboration with Florence Jean-Louis Dupuis for stage and production design. Historical research conducted by Baina Belot. Choreography by Jean-René Dessoin. Heritage, Saturday, November 16, 2024, 7 p.m. at the Coral Springs Center for the Arts. This is the real deal. Tickets available now online or on site of the Coral Springs Center for the Arts. Heritage, don't miss out.
Yes. That was Heritage. That was something that our sister Mama Baina Bello sent. Make sure you all check that out. I think she was a historian on that particular piece. So
Okay.
Yeah. Beautiful production. Looks good.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Definitely looks good. So make sure, like I said, you all have things that you want to promote. Get with us. Anyway, what we got going on, Fernando?
All right, we're gonna start with this story on Cuba. President Diaz-Canel highlights Cuba's partnership with BRICS. I think we spoke a little bit about this a few shows back, but now it's looking like it's official. This is from Havana, October 25th. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel on Friday highlighted his country's incorporation into the BRICS group as an associate member, approved at the 16th summit of the organization held in Kazan, Russia. On his profile on the social network X, the head of state assured that Cuba is honored to enter as a partner country in the BRICS 5 letters, and a great hope for the countries of the South on the arduous path towards more just, democratic, equitable, and sustainable international order. Likewise, Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez reaffirmed Cuba's interest and commitment to work together with the members of that group in defense of multilateralism, peace, international law, and the construction of the development and cooperation agenda that responds to the priorities of the South. The Caribbean nation was admitted as an associate member of BRICS, along with 12 other countries: Algeria, Belarus, Bolivia, Indonesia, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Nigeria, Thailand, Turkey, Uganda, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam. So that's what we got going on. Seems like it's official. I know as far as everything that's going on in Cuba, financially it's been rough. Most of my family is still out there. So recently there was a problem. I don't know if I think most people heard about it with the power grid. The power grid collapsed in Cuba not too long ago. It's only like 8 large power plants over there, and they're old power plants. So the whole grid kind of collapsed. It was like 3-4 days, the whole country without electricity, and obviously with that comes water problems, and so it's been rough out there for everybody. So this move with BRICS, I don't know. We'll see. We have to follow it. You know, we have to follow it. See what can happen, how things move. But it's good to see that they're trying to do something. They're doing things. You know what I mean? Because things are rough out there.
So what coming up? Like you said, you have you still have a lot of family in Cuba. You said.
Yeah.
Like what has it been like for them? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because you hear different stories, you hear different folks who you know, come from that particular region, and we know that for years they had the whole embargo situation. You had, you know, Fidel, etc. What has life been like for them? You know, post Fidel.
Well, you know, right after the revolution, obviously for our people, you know, for Afro-Cubans, there were certain things that were definitely improved, that were important. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things like access to education, even housing, certain things that became, you know, that were crucial, that, you know, that our people were able to advance with. But, you know, over the years, you know, with the embargo and other things, you know, now, to be honest, we have to see things, we have to be realistic, you know. Fidel Castro's been gone for some time now, you know what I mean? And there's been different moves, and, you know, things are very difficult. I'm hearing even old heads, you know, saying that, you know, in the 90s, we had a tough period. It was called like the special period, they called it, when with the whole Soviet Union, when there was a break with the Soviet Union and all that. And so those were difficult times in Cuba in the 90s. And now I'm hearing, you know, older people saying that these times are worse than the 90s. So, you know, even old heads that, you know, they usually just, they're even saying now that, you know, times are really tough. And we've seen, unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, have left the island in recent years, because conditions are difficult. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But is it like a understanding of well, I'm sure they understand America's role, but do they still like look at like Cuba's government as like they're the cause of these problems and they need to just change and start to work closer with the US? Or is it like, you know, F the US? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm kind of ignorant to just the sentiment on the ground.
yeah, there's different views, you know what I mean? But for the most part, you know, I'm hearing a lot of people saying that, I'm hearing a lot of people that go to Cuba and that come back saying that the Cuban people know, they understand that, you know, the whole embargo, and they know what time it is as far as imperialism and all that. That's not always true. You know, a lot of people on the ground don't necessarily have the political education, even though they're in a
Right.
socialist country and all that, and they don't know. And sometimes they do. Some of them do feel like they drop all the blame on the Cuban government. You know, a lot of people. Not everybody. Some people know what time it is, but, you know, personally, I do things. They're obviously, we know the embargo is a main source, you know, and we know the imperialism. We know how things run over here, you know. But there are things that can be better done from within as well. There are things to improve from within that need to be done. You know what I'm saying? There's always things that need to be improved, you know. And unfortunately, when things get bad, things get real bad for our people, because our people in Cuba also are, you know, at the bottom of everything. And so, you know, in our neighborhoods, you know, our families, you know, so these are real tough times. You know, anybody that tells you different is lying. These are tough times in Cuba for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I could dig it. Like when you say our people are really, really doing bad, it's like everywhere,
Yeah.
you know, around the world, wherever there's like, you know, that dynamic with Africans, Europeans, that the Africans seem to be at the bottom, right? There's that consistency. And my cousin, he was just in Brazil. It's funny, you know, funny story. Like my cousin, he's being indoctrinated with like that FBA ideology,
Oh
right?
man.
Yeah, and he's going hard. He hide when I come around though. But he's always talking to my other cousin about it. So he's talking about Pan-Africanism behind my back when I'm around though. He quiet, you know. When I leave, he be talking again. But he was in Brazil and he came back, and I was talking to him. He was like, "Yo," he's like, "the black people," he's like, "what they tell you, you know, in the media and all of that." He's like, "Man, they lying." He's like, "Yo, like the gang stuff that they talk about." He said, "Man," he's like, "they over there fighting against the government." He's like, "They ain't." He's like, "Once in a blue, there's a conflict between, you know, somebody trying to take over the territory, but you know that's not like a constant, you know, everyday thing." He's like, for the most part, they're fighting against the government. And he's like, the black people over there is doing bad. So I was messing around with him. I was like, yeah, I was like, you just had your Marcus Garvey moment, man. I was like, that's what Garvey found out when he went around. He seen the connection that we all have, so forth. He's sitting there quiet, but yeah, man, you know, African people, wherever you are, man, Cuba, I understand. That's why we have to make those connections with our, you know, our brothers there.
Definitely. That's when Malcolm started talking about that too. That's when it became a real problem. You know, when he started saying we need to connect, we need to organize locally everywhere and then connect.
Yeah, I was talking to brother Mazu. He you know, we had conversations around Malcolm. He does a lot of work around you know, Malcolm speeches and so forth. But he had made a point. We was talking. He was like, Malcolm never went to the Caribbean, right? He never went to the islands, even though I know it was on his probably, you know, to-do list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he never made it over there, man.
Yeah, I think because when he saw Fidel, that was in New York, right? Yeah, that was in New York. I don't think he made it out there, but he went to the motherland.
That would have been crazy.
You talking about Malcolm and Fidel?
Yeah.
So, you know, so the wild thing about that, quick story. I know we're getting off a little bit, but for folks who don't know, we actually talked to Rosemary Mealy, who was a veteran Panther, maybe about a year or two ago, Dr. George James and I. And one of the things that we discussed was when Fidel came to Harlem, came to the U.S., came to New York, and couldn't get a hotel.
Yeah.
So we ended up in Harlem. Malcolm had gotten in touch with Bumpy Johnson, and Bumpy Johnson hooked him up with a brother who had owned a hotel. I can't think of the brother's name right now, but hooked him up with a brother who had a hotel, because Fidel and his crew, they was going to camp out in tents outside of the United Nations. They like F that.
Yeah, okay.
But Malcolm, and this also shows you the power of Malcolm, but not only Malcolm, the power of the Black community as a whole, because you got Bumpy Johnson, who was considered like to some people a Black Robin Hood. You know, others would try to consider him a criminal or whatever. But you know, Malcolm went to him, and they were able to house Fidel and his delegation, and that was you know, there was one of those times when, like you said, Malcolm had the opportunity to serve as a dignitary, you know what I'm saying, as an ambassador, an unofficial ambassador, not an ambassador to white supremacy or white hegemony, but as an ambassador to African people worldwide. You know, so that's a very important piece when we talk about relations. Now, again, in future shows, we will talk about Cuba in depth, because of the fact that, of course, we hear great things. We hear about Malcolm. We hear about Asada, Nahanda, and a number of other people who sought refuge in Cuba and were granted asylum or granted political asylum, whatever the case is. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of racism and classism that exists within that country, like other countries, and we will definitely be talking about that. So we don't want to, and I'm saying that because we don't want to gas folks up like, you know, oh, it's the promised land. There's no promised land where imperialism is. Even when you're fighting imperialism, there's still issues within it. There's issues within the ranks of quote unquote African organizations right here in the U.S. You know what I mean? So, you know, we don't want to, and that's not to sidetrack or derail what it is we're talking about, but just a matter of fact type piece.
There's no safe space right now in the whole on earth, man. You know, we got to struggle everywhere. There's no safe space we could go to and be like, oh, we good here.
Listen, I remember when I was younger, you know, my uncle, he was always like the official revolutionary of the family. Like he was like, you know, he was the historian, going all the way back, family history, so on and so forth. He could tell you, you know, which family members were freedom fighters and which one of them were Uncle Toms. But I remember one time we was talking, and we was talking about Israel, and I said something. He was talking. I said, man, I was talking about the Palestinians. I said, well, they'll blow up Palestine. I thought that was like supposed to be a holy space and whatnot. He said, shit. He said, these motherfuckers would blow up heaven if they could.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? And I laughed. He wasn't laughing, but in retrospect, they damn sure would. You know what I'm saying? They poison the water. They poison the planet. You know, they would totally destroy life, humanity, in all forms. And I think that the problem that we have right now is we're looking for humanity and sanity from inhumane and insane people. So it's like, what do we expect? You mentioned Africa. There's a story about the Sudan. I'm gonna see if my brother Kimber, who already said he didn't feel like reading today, but you know me, I'm a jerk, so I'm asking.
Gotta get myself ready. I got my reading glasses on.
I didn't have mine, so that's why I'm like, let me go ahead and throw Kimber this ball, because I don't want Kimber to feel like he got his red foxes on right now. I don't know. So go to draw.
I see the Cuba story right here.
No, I could jump on set. I was just messaging if you want me to go ahead right now.
Messing with me, man. See, that's
my bad, brother. Come on, man. You're too sensitive on the Rise Up Morning Show. Relax.
I thought I was doing something good, right thing, man. Making sure my brother, I got your back.
Who?
You crying wolf right now? See?
What you talking about, brother?
I don't know. I think I'm. I'm saying the right thing. You crying wolf, man. I thought you needed me, but I
do, brother. I do. You can go ahead. Like he tried to wiggle his way out of this. You hear that, Fernando? What was all that about? Anyway, you want to read the story or not, man? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the story.
Okay, I'm gonna hop on this other story while you get down. I will. There's a story around U.S. authorizing CIA mercenaries to run biometric concentration camps in Gaza. So let's talk about that real quick while we get everything else in order. Again, you're checking out the Rise Up Morning Show. You know what I'm saying? And, it's what we do around here. Anyway, let's see this right here. Y'all familiar with the story at all?
What is?
No.
U.S.
authorized? No.
Oh, good. Let me see if I can work this magic real quick. Okay, boom. So, the U.S. has authorized CIA mercenaries to run biometric concentration camps in the Gaza Strip. A private intelligence corporation billed as Uber for War Zones is preparing to create what Israel hopes will be a model for supplanting Hamas's rule in Gaza. I mean, think about what they say now. Uber for War Zones. This already, we ain't even read the story yet, and it already sounds insane, right?
Yeah, I'm sure. Uber for war zones.
Yes. So
crazy.
Sound like some capitalist shit, boy.
Sound like white folks. The Biden administration has approved the deployment of 1,000 CIA-trained private mercenaries as part of a joint U.S.-Israeli plan to turn Gaza's apocalyptic rubblescape into a high-tech dystopia. Starting with Al-Atatra, a village in the northwestern Gaza Strip, the plan calls the bill what the Israeli Daily Ynet calls humanitarian bubbles, turning the remains of villages and neighborhoods into tiny concentration camps cut off from their environs and surrounded and controlled by mercenaries. This comes as Israel carries out daily massacres and ethnic cleansing in northern Gaza, enacting the proposal known as the General's Plan, originally crafted by former National Security Chief Giora Allen to turn Gaza into a place where no human being can exist. The plan, approved by White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, calls for the Israeli military to clear out pockets of Palestinian resistance, which it has failed to achieve, demonstrated by the recent killings of Israeli Colonel Hassan Daksa, the highest-ranking officer to lose his life in the year-long war. 48 hours after stamping out resistance, they plan to erect separation walls around the neighborhood, forcing its residents and no one else to enter and exit using biometric identification under the CIA contractor's control. Those who do not accept the biometric regime will be refused humanitarian aid. This plan, first reported by Israeli journalist Shlomi Eldar, allocates $90 million for the residents to rebuild their homes and calls to appoint a local sheikh to the position of head of the council. The plan is a 21st century reboot of Washington's famous failed strategic Hamlet program during its war in Vietnam in the 1960s, updated with a modern biometric program the U.S. military-industrial complex has incorporated into its operations since, in particular, the beginning of the so-called War on Terror. The U.S. has even created a little-known agency called the Defense Forensics and Biometrics Agencies to advance this. Uber for War Zones. The company at the forefront of this plan is called Global Delivery Company. Described in its promotional materials as the Uber for War Zones, Israeli-American businessman Moti Kahana owns it and employs several top Israeli and American military intelligence officials, including retired U.S. Navy Captain Michael Durham, who's a retired U.S. Special Force and retired U.S. Special Forces Captain Justin Sapp, along with former Israeli Military Intelligence Division head Yossi Kupperwasser and former Israeli Military Chief Intelligence Officer David Zor. This right here, man, is like it's insane on so many different levels because, for one, we're talking about what sounds essentially like what they talked about in biblical terms, the mark of the beast. So they're saying if you don't conform to this, then you will be refused humanitarian aid. According to the quote unquote Bible, they talk about how if you don't have that mark of the beast, you can't eat. They're talking about the mark in your hand, so on and so forth. And this right here is something, this whole biometric concentration camp is right along line with this. And you talk about these private industries, these private companies who are deciding to come in and be Ubers for war zones. Let's set up shops. Let's have civilians and ex-military set up situations where they can further dominate and control not only the resources, but the lives of the people who exist within those regions. You know, I don't even know a better way of saying these motherfuckers are sick, because that is an understatement. You know what I mean? They are this is so insane on so many different levels. And you have folks worried about dumb shit. So while this is going on, folks are concerned about Fat Joe monkey ass performing at the World Series or Ice Cube or one of these other clowns. You know what I'm saying? The fact that we're even entertaining certain types of sports and entertainment when this is going on, not just in that particular region, but you can best believe if they're trying it out there, it will get to the U.S. and other places soon. They always have their little test spaces, and this is what's happening. This right here reminds me of the whole Cop City situation.
Yeah.
They both starting off with $90 million. So that's quite interesting as well. Not to mention the fact that police here in Georgia already trained with Gaza soldiers through the Ghillie program. Anyway, I'm gonna stop.
Once in a while, you know, they outdo themselves. I'm usually not surprised at all the crazy shit that they constantly do around the world. But once in a while, you see some real psycho shit out of this right here is just crazy, man.
Man, like you're lost for words, man.
I am.
Yeah.
You see that thing? It's like they think they playing video games. They think they, you know.
Did it make a comparison to Germany in there? Because I missed some of the article as far as like what was being done with the Jews in Germany and them being branded. Do you call it branded? Like, I guess it didn't make that comparison.
Branded is a I didn't see anything on it. Perhaps
when they put the numbers, digits, just like the track them, keep track of Jews. Like IBM was involved in that, man. But yeah, I was wondering, 'cause I was just seeing some similarities, man. But it's all about control, man. I mean, is any of this stuff? I guess the more surveillance, the better, man. But I feel like we already deep in it, man, with the phones and the technology, you know, the face recognition.
So the dude, the businessman Kahana, he played a key role in the war against Syria in the 2010s. And they said he worked with the CIA-backed Free Syrian Army to provide food and medical care to quote-unquote militants and civilians alike. And they've also been involved in the Ukraine. They've collaborated with a number of different, with the Zionist organization, the American Joint Distribution Committee, to quote-unquote operate refugee camps in Romania. So these folks, man, these are people who operate businesses of war.
Yeah.
So you have different sectors to this thing. You have the quote unquote military and you have the civilian sector. You know what I'm saying? And the civilians, and it's all really just wordplay. Because the civilians are just simply saying that we're not soldiers within the particular military. We just have contracts with them. But at the same time, what's the difference? Because you're still under the same dominating destructive force. You know, so it's just like, I don't know, man. Like you said a few seconds ago, Fernando, you know, every now and then, you know, it's like you really like you already know what they're capable of, but they will show you. They're like, man,
they outdo themselves.
Man, they're like, oh, you thought we was dastardly before? Get a load of this.
Like good capitalists, they looking to make that back wherever. Like it don't matter.
Well, they make it on both sides. That's why they sit back and they'll decide to intervene after they done made a shitload of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, wait, pump your brakes. We ain't got to solve this problem just yet.
No humanity whatsoever.
Money off. I'm looking at them giving Israel, just speaking of them putting money on both sides of the conflict. You're sending money to Israel for weapons of war, of destruction, and then at the same time you sending money to the Palestinians for humanitarian aid. And I'm just like, what the hell? And the crazy thing is, like, you sending something, close to, 100 million to $1 billion, well, actually billions of dollars to Israel for war. And then, over the last 8 months or so, you send 60 million to Gaza for humanitarian aid. If anything, they need more money, resources than the damn Israelis. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like you causing the humanitarian crisis and then sending money to try to address the humanitarian crisis, man. That's some devilish shit right there, bro.
I mean, all you have to do is look at animals, right? What they do on a farm. They fatten the calf, they fatten the animals to be slaughtered. The animal thinks that the farmer is his friend. Oh man, he feeds us every day. He sprays us down with the hose. It cleans up around here. Everything good. He's preparing you for slaughter.
Dang.
So the genocide is an investment. There's no humanitarian aid. What humanitarian aid? I forget. Some years ago, I know Cynthia McKinney, former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. Shout out to Cynthia McKinney. I remember one of the earliest times I even heard of her was when she was arguing about how they were dropping bombs and food. I forget where it was at. I'm trying to think if it was Afghanistan. I'm trying to think where it was at, but they were dropping these packages, and the food packages and the bombs were the same colors. So children was going to open up the package and getting blown to bits because they're thinking that it's food. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is how dastardly, and she was fighting against the Defense Department, you know, as a sitting Congresswoman. Of course, they didn't like that, but this is what they had to deal with. So it's like you're pretending to be helpful. So there's no humanitarian aid when you're destroying people. You know what I'm saying? That's like you saying, okay, we feeding the slaves. That's like saying we're feeding the folks, the inmates. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They
and
need
if
you
they
to work.
eating the food, then you know, hey, it ain't a problem. Look, they eating it, so they ain't got a problem.
Exactly. So that's just the whole thing. So you know, anyway, moving right along, man. What else we got on the plate, man? Speaking of
all right, I dug up this Sudanese story. Or you want to go to a break, real?
It's up to you, brother. You need to go to a quick break. Go to a quick break.
Let's go to a quick break, man, because this is Dr. Amos Wilson piece talking about voting. I think this is an opportune time.
This is good for the moment.
Well, run it then, brother. We ain't scared. Where we at? Dr. Amos Wilson? Let's get it.
Rise up.
Damn, you Fernando. All right. That's right. Right.
My bad, he kept. You needed to.
What's happening, brother? We had some technical difficulties with the video.
The power.
Yeah, we had a couple technical difficulties.
Yeah,
We're gonna try
There
to
was no
make it.
sound.
Yeah.
Huh?
There was no sound.
No, there's no sound, man. You still singing Professor Griff's band, man. Shout out to Griff.
What was he? What he had going on? Hold on. One more try.
Okay.
All right.
That was Sacred Owned by Professor Griff. This is coming up next, Dr. Amos Wilson.
That obviously if the bourgeois element in America and the ruling elite in America owns the media, then the media will be used by that class to carry out its programs and its ideologies. And it will use the media to try to brainwash and falsify the consciousness of African people. But while we look at that, we must look at the ownership of our own media. Yes. And see what class of people own that media. Then you can solve the puzzle as to why that media is always preaching to you about voting. As if voting was the only source of power in America. Because those people that own those stations achieve their social position and power through America's electoral system. That's why it's important to them. Because the class of people that own those stations and control those stations got their position through what? Electioneering and by being attached to the Democratic Party. And one thing that a bourgeois leadership and a leadership elite tries to do is to convince the masses that the masses can have their interests satisfied by satisfying the bourgeois' interests. And therefore, when they get elected to office or they get high appointed office, they tell you, ain't we progressing? Doesn't that mean an advancement for black folk? When they are the only one who have advanced and you don't have a new nickel in your pocket as a result of their being in this position. And so they want to make you think that their elections and their ability to wheedle out of the Democratic parties and the Republican parties money that advance their economic interests represents an advancement for you. And therefore they fail to give you a true education as to what politics is really about in America. And power in America is not in voting. You have to understand that. Why? If you'd even review your own history, you would recognize that what you call your most significant victories were gained before you gained the right to vote in 1964 and 1965. Did you vote to get the vote? Huh? Recognize what you're going on here. But someone would tell you that there's no other way. But what did we say? Power in America is based in America's corporations, is determined by those who own the means of production and who own property. Power and property ownership go together in America. No property-less people, no people who own no productive businesses are in power in America. I don't care what kind of votes they have. And recognize this, that where the power is, you cannot vote them out of power. Because those who run America's multinational corporations and run America's institutions don't run for office. They tell the people in office what to do. And therefore, if you are to wield real power in America, you must own the sources of power. And those sources mean the ownership of productive facilities and the ownership of property. And the control of major institutions and the ability to weld yourself together as a people and to control your consumption and to control your behavior in ways that you can exert your influence upon this system. But yet we get a medium that tells people, vote, vote, go out and vote. And you're going to suffer all the more as a result thereof. Yes, you got to face the reality. You got to know where it's going. Power lies in strategy. It lies in technique. It lies in alignment. You see. Why were blacks before they got to vote able to change the South? Through voting? Through alignments, through alliances, through control of their consumer rights. As you said time and time again, that to a great extent the civil rights movement was a consumer movement. It was a situation where blacks refused to spend their money in particular ways and in particular places. And by withdrawing their consumption, they were able to change the South before a single law was passed in their favor. Just the ability of black people to line up side by side and shoulder to shoulder and to march in one straight line.
Hey,
Yes.
welcome back.
Welcome back. It was Dr. Amos Wilson letting us know what time it is.
What you think about that break, man? I know we had some technical issues just to even get to it, but
we got it. We got it, man. You know, like they say, you know, if voting would change anything, it would be illegal.
It would be illegal. I hear that.
No, but I do think, you know, Dr. Amos Wilson was on point as always. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I do think, like, you know, I've heard, you know, Kalanji say this a lot. We need to use every tool we do have. And I do see, you know, some value in voting third party, you know, even as far as, you know, presidential election. You know, I obviously think, you know, voting locally is more important, you know, but as far as presidential, I do see some value as far as voting third party, but, you know, we understand it's limited, and we understand, you know, voting ain't gonna give us liberation. So, you know.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day. I was like, man, I'm gonna vote to disrupt the Democratic and Republican Party, man. Like, you know, there's a movement to find other options. So, you know, the more votes that other options get, I think, you know, that does good to just, I guess, build the morale of people who want to see another party be able to contend with the Democratic and Republican Party.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like giving them that hope that change can happen that way. So, you know, I want to be a part of or contribute to that movement rather than just support the status quo. You know, I'm going against that grain. But yeah, it's just like in that particular clip, he, you know, it was funny because later on he goes into talking about the morality of the European and how we, you know, we look at, you know, this like the Stop the Hate sort of campaign. I know I'm digressing a bit, but I didn't want to make the clip too long. But it's interesting because he, you know, he gets into this like, you know, stop the hate and, you know, just appeal to their morality and convert them to their own religion. Yo, I thought it was hilarious when he said that, man. You know, get them to abide by their constitution, convert them to their religion. He's like, y'all crazy, man. Y'all insane. But, you know, it's just like, I ain't never think about it in that way, you know, the way that he said it, but that's exactly what we doing, you know. Like, you don't need to do that. They know, they did this shit, designed this shit, you know. You ain't got to teach them about something, you know, that they designed.
That's right.
It's hilarious, man.
I think the sad thing about it, and again, we've had three of the independent candidates on this platform. We've had Claudia De La Cruz, we've had Jill Stein, we've had Cornel West on the platform. The thing that saddens me most, to be quite honest with you, the fact that we even have to play with this electoral malarkey, because we already know that it's a game. You know what I'm saying? It's a hustle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, to your point, what you just said, Ikemba, as far as disrupting this system, honestly, we're not going to disrupt their system if we vote or don't vote. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's the sad reality. And I know that some people, they might be like, oh, this, that. We can say if we want to. Indeed, there is a third party. There has been some great political talking points. There's been empty rhetoric. There's been fashionable militancy. You know what I mean? But in the grand scheme of things, in the mortal words of Rakim, still don't move but the money.
That's true.
Because the fact is, even to run here in the United States, at a bare minimum, hundreds of thousands of dollars have to be spent. So as to be properly understood. While I'm not knocking anyone's hustle, of course, a third party would be great. You know what I'm saying? A third party. But in order for a true third party to exist here inside of these United States, capitalism has to be crushed. Or it's like saying, we want to change the chef but have the same menu.
Mm-hmm.
You don't eat pork. So the problem is not who's cooking the pork. Problem is the fact that pork's on the menu. He said, well, I know this last chef we had, he served raw pork and he should have, you know what I'm saying? Or this last chef before that, they served grilled pork and they shouldn't have. We're going to put vegetables, vegan options around that swine. In fact, this we're going to do. We're going to sell vegan options, but we're going to cook it all in the same pot. The same pan that we use to fry the bacon, the same pan we use to fry the sausages. We're going to put your veggies in it, and now you have an option. It's the same grease.
That's right.
It's the same fat. And that's what's going on right here. You can't expect anything different, a different taste, if it's the same menu. The flavors might taste a little different. Right now, politics in the U.S. is such an entertaining thing. You have Trump, who just brought his white ass to Madison Square Garden, spoke in front of 20,000 people. All his cracker friends talking crazy. You know what I'm saying? He talk shit about everything from
eating watermelons with black people.
Watermelons for black people. What is it?
That was crazy.
What was the joint with the there'll be no critical race theory in the joint. There'll be no, Puerto Rico's a floating trash heap.
Trash. There's trash in the ocean or something, and it's called Puerto Rico.
Right. So and they said that he said that they were so comfortable in the middle of New York, in a place where damn near got as many Puerto Ricans as Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And you talking crazy.
Why is Puerto Rico known for being like trash. I'm trying to get the joke.
The joke is that white folks think that everything is a shithole or a trash heap of the sort.
Yeah.
When in fact, knowing the history of England alone, all the trash they used to have on the streets, and the reason why a lot of these motherfuckers dressed with all them clothes on was to hide the funk, spraying perfume on them and stuff like that to try to all the garbage and the rats and everything that existed through there.
Yeah.
You got nerve to talk about a trash heap in many of these different European countries. But the thing is, that's neither here nor there. The fact is, you have that. Then you have Trump working at McDonald's for a day. Then you got Kamala line dancing and just all kinds of crazy shit that's going on right now.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like yeah, it is.
And people falling for that shit. You got Beyonce coming out for Kamala Harris now.
Of course.
And it's a wrap. Everybody going crazy.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Michelle and what's the other fool name? Barack. They both lying. Barack didn't even want to endorse her at first. You know what I'm saying? We forgot about that part, but it's all good. But where the money go, how the tour go, this is what it's all about. Now, if we're going to do a prediction, of course, we know that Trump will be back in office. Election is, this time next week, he'll be back in office. And it is what it is.
That's what it's looking like?
Not this time next week. He'll be elected, more or less. He won't be officially back in office till January. We already know. But the reality is, him or Kamala, it really don't make a difference. Because at the end of the day, the wars that are taking place right now is under Kamala's watch. Lest we forget. You know what I'm saying? This is still going on. She's still the vice president of the United States right now. We're talking like none of what's going on right now, like all of this is in the bubble. And it's Joe Biden's fault. And she's just the side chick who doesn't have anything to say until it's her time to run. Right. I mean, like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? But this is the game psychologically. And we saw this thing coming a long time ago because most of us said, something happened, Biden to be out of office, he's old, he'll die, whatever, and Kamala's going to end up president. That's what we were saying. Yeah. Then the whole thing, finally, they recognize that he is senile. You know what I'm saying? And he can't run again. But that didn't stop them from him still being, still having his finger on the trigger. He's still driving.
Ain't that so?
Yeah, he's still driving. It ain't like you saying, "Oh man, he don't remember nothing or whatever. He can't run no more." But let him roll on out till January. It's madness in every sense of the word. Yeah, and we're sitting here. So Dr. Amos Wilson was right, but at the same time, we're looking for some type of liberation when we're not seeking to be liberated. We're being passed around from plantation to plantation. Who will be the new overseer? Who do you want to be the overseer? You know what I'm saying? You want a black man to be an overseer? And we like, the third party candidates. But I mean, what's happening here?
Yeah. Hey, but did you hear? Oh, go ahead, Fernando.
Nah, I was just gonna say, like when I say there's some value in voting third party, I'm thinking that like maybe, if when some of these third party candidates get their voices on certain platforms and they bring up, things like imperialism and things like, genocide, things that these two candidates are not going to talk about, maybe that can, help elevate the consciousness of certain people that are listening. You know what I'm saying? So that's more so what I'm talking about, hoping to reach, more people as far as understanding what time it is as far as,
No, so to your point, indeed. And I'm not throwing rocks at us, and I'm almost forgetting that we on air right now. You know what I'm saying? Because some of what I'm saying is like, people, we're sticking pins and the balloons, and some folks aren't liking it, and that's cool. It's not a problem. But the grand scheme of things, you know, I even saw a quote unquote veteran Panther in another state who I don't know personally, but clearly his politics are warped. I'm sorry I have to say that. It's not like it's whatever. What you want to do?
Yeah.
You mad, but your politics are warped. He said he compared Kamala to Harriet Tubman, and he said something to the extent that you know, imagine if folks didn't follow Harriet Tubman because she was a woman. Comparing Harriet Tubman to Kamala is like comparing Uncle Ruckus to the Ruba because they both black. And
exactly. That they try to do that with Barack Obama and Malcolm and all of this. No,
I think if anything, Harriet Tubman, you know, represents an example to that point of people. If you're gonna lead me to liberation, I don't care if you a man or a woman. Kamala Harris ain't leading nobody to no liberation. So if she was on that level, it wouldn't matter. Like that's what I'm saying. Like people acting like she's a woman thing. No, like we looking at which we wouldn't give a shit. We done had women in leadership in the past and present. Yeah, still do. You know.
Yeah. We under women leaders. Some of us right now, they're organized, man. You know what I'm saying? I got women OGs with no problem. Ain't no, you know, I don't even. It's not even a question. It's like, you know, save that for someone with simple politics. Save that argument for someone who you can just tell anything just because. And we've had even one of the comrades came on here talking that nonsense. I mean, come on, man. Ain't nobody like this ain't got nothing to do with because you are a black woman. In fact, we would love for you to be a black woman and be the president that represents African people. But what's happening right now, even if she did win, of course, what they're going to do, they're going to blame every atrocity that exists on the planet Earth on her. You know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. We know that if we really look at things for what they are and not what we hope them to be, then it'd be a whole nother program. You know what I'm saying? Right. But the thing is, we are caught up in emotionalism. We're caught up in sensationalism and all kinds of other isms. But at the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, man, like, come on, man, stop playing games, man. Nobody, I question someone that comes along and says that because this person is, let's look at the track record. And then you get some people, well, you know, the president's not the president for black people. Ain't the president for no people. You know what I'm saying? This is corporations. This is greed. This is about domination. It's about destruction. Right now, all of the issues that exist right now, these are issues that existed when Trump was the president, and it exists when Kamala's the vice president. And if she becomes president, same show, same program. Honestly, don't really care who's sitting in that particular seat. Why? Because our job, our position has to be the same.
Sure.
I live in Atlanta, and Atlanta is one of the blackest cities you're going to come across. Philadelphia, same thing. Being in the city of brotherly love did not stop Osage Avenue from being blown up.
Right.
Being in the quote-unquote black Mecca did not stop Imam Jamil Al-Amin from the H-Rap Brown from being framed. You know what I'm saying? All around the world, same song. So anyway, you're checking out the Rise Up Morning Show. I know we got more news to get to and all of that good stuff. You know, unfortunately, I'm going to have to check out soon. So, you know, we can figure out how we want to do this thing because we know the people already, they woke already because they saw Kimba. I want to remind folks that we have a new time slot. We'll be rocking from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. EST from this point on, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. EST. So make sure that you get up early in the morning, because we know some people been complaining about, man, I'll be at work by that time. Okay, cool. You on your way out, you can check us out, 7 a.m. So we doing it around here. Rise up. Anyway, any more news you want to get through?
Time right there.
You said
The
revolutionary
God
time.
hour. That's the God hour.
Okay. Check out the
7 o'clock. You're right.
Okay, Kimber. What you talking about over there? Now that you got the God hour intact, can you come up with that story that you supposed to brought us about 20 minutes ago?
Yes. So I had to track this John down, but I made it. It happen.
That brother, man.
Oh man.
Okay, got all the screens on here. You got us on there like 4 times.
Hold on. Let's do this right.
Where's Isaac when we need him, man? What's going on?
Right. Shout out Isaac, man.
Sister May, somebody save us. Help us stay here.
Natasha, where you at? Days. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Let's try this again.
I know we got it right this time.
This happens when I'm here. Imagine what happens when I'm not here.
Oh, hold on. You know what I need to do?
Uh-oh.
Just to make sure, I want to be on the safe side of things.
Okay.
So y'all bear with me.
Kimber's doing some production right now.
While Kimber gets his production in order, we want to remind you to please support our platform, Black Power Media Reloaded. Make sure you subscribe to the platform. We got some real dope shows up on here. We got Vital Hoops. We got Professor Griff, who you just saw in his promo. Shout out to Griff. Arm the Masses. Arm the Masses on Mondays and Wednesdays at noon. RSTV will be coming back. Daughters of the Whirlwind has some new material that'll be dropping soon. We have a new hip hop show coming out. We'll talk about that later on. We also have Dr. Joy James, Marsha, their show. I can't think of the name of them right now. Forgive me. But we have a whole lot of shows that are rocking.
Imperialism or something like that, right?
That's right. Hey, look at that. Look at Kimber paying attention. He can't get his stuff on the screen, but he knows the shows.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. I'm struggling right now, but I'm second to
good, Kimber. Kimber's looking for whatever he's gonna be reading today, but it's all good. But in the meantime, we are here.
Afro Pick magazine. Everybody, make sure.
Thank you so much.
Go get that. That new second issue is still out there.
Yes, the third issue is about to drop though. So the third issue, I believe, what's today? October 30th?
30th, yep.
Yeah. So the third issue will be dropping this week. So be on the lookout for the third issue. Appreciate you.
Be ready.
Okay. Look here, man. Look at Kimber. Kimber said, man, y'all ain't dropping no more issues without me coming up with my story. And there it is.
All right, y'all did a great job, man, like holding it down. So I got this together. I appreciate y'all. So we looking at
this is gonna be the best story today. Go ahead.
What's going on in Sudan? Like the latest with Sudan, and a lot has been going on. Armed clashes in Sudan. I'm just going. Is this? I don't know what just happened to my story, man.
You're doing great, brother.
Sudan's government accuses rebel RSF militia of genocide and ethnic cleansing in eastern regions. I'm just going, because I'm assuming this is probably going to discuss the recent atrocities. So I'll just read a little bit of this. The conflict between the National Army and the rebel paramilitary rapid support forces in Sudan has already resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of civilians and the displacement over 11 million people, according to the United Nations. The Sudanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs has issued a strong condemnation of the rapid support forces, accusing them of conducting savage retaliatory campaigns in the eastern Al Jazeera and Al Butana regions. The ministry claims that these campaigns amount to acts of genocide and ethnic cleansing, targeting civilians based on tribal and regional affiliations. In a press statement, the ministry stated that the RSF's actions are a response to the recent defection of certain high-ranking RSF commanders. According to the statement, hundreds of civilians have been killed or injured in the RSF's attacks, with thousands more forcibly displaced from their homes. The ministry statement came in the wake of the defection of Ubu Agla Kiko, the RSF's top commander in the southeastern Al Jazeera state, which marked a significant shift in the ongoing conflict between the Sudanese army and the RSF, which began in April 2023. So yeah, I mean, the article is just getting into the continual conflict that's taking place. Stop sharing this. But recently, the story came out that the RFS massacred 500 500 Sudanese men, and were raping the Sudanese women in a village, completely wiped out a whole village of their men. And over 100 of the Sudanese women in this village committed suicide as a result of this genocide, and to keep themselves from being raped by the RSF militia men. So this was a recent event, and when I was hearing about this story, Fernando, I was just like, man, I think we was just talking about this too on Isaac's platform, how I just felt like, man, I wish I could have done more with uplifting this story, because when We Charge Colonialism, I was covering this months ago, man. I think maybe a few months after the initial conflict commenced, and I felt like there was a lot of coverage on Palestine, which if you look at, or in Gaza, you look at what happened with in Israel. That was October 7th of last year, correct? October 7th
October
last
7th.
year.
Yeah.
And so the Sudanese conflict between the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces took place months prior to that. It began in April of last year. And so the buildup for the ethnic cleansing, the genocide, was already happening before the war with Gaza or Hamas began.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, man, all the coverage went there, but Sudan, this has been going on for months, and it's only getting worse. The crisis is getting worse. I remember I was covering a story, and there was an article that came out and talked about if something isn't done as far as humanitarian aid, somewhere more than 2 million Sudanese are going to die as a result of a lack of humanitarian aid. And I'm just like, wow, 2 million people, that's more than the population of Gaza. Gaza's population is around 2 million. So it would be like wiping out Gaza of its whole population like that. So imagine that's what was happening in Sudan if they wouldn't get humanitarian aid. They said it could happen in a matter of months. So yeah, this is, I appreciate the story, and just want to encourage people to stay on top of what's going on. The fact that whole village was wiped out. The whole world should be up in arms right now. What do we need to do to stop this? Who do we have to bleed out, as far as resource-wise, to prevent this war from carrying on? So I do, Fernand, if you wanted to add on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely what you're saying is real. We have to stay on top of this. And, I know there was a mass suicide as well, committed by sisters, because it was over 100 women, because they're getting raped. They're getting raped. And they, in order to prevent that, there was a mass suicide. Like you said, the numbers are outrageous. It's not no little thing going on over there. It's been a while. There's certain people that are, and then you got some of these entertainers and athletes that are still promoting, making these trips, to UAE, and Dubai and all these things, and it's just sick, man. The lack of consciousness within our society, You know, it's the same thing that Kalanji was talking earlier, where people are worried about Fat Joe and these things at the World Series. But the incident with Sudan, man, we not too long ago we had a couple of Sudanese brothers on the show, you know, and I definitely encourage everybody to go back and find the episode because they really broke shit down.
Oh yeah, they went into the history and everything.
Yeah, they really broke things down, and we're gonna get them back on, but definitely this is something that's been going on, and that, you know, it's there's no words to explain how nasty this genocide is, you know, as well. So there's genocides going on all over, really.
And you made a point too of bringing up the UAE, and I think you know, the viewers have to be conscious of their involvement. You know, the UAE, you know, there's UAE based companies or corporations that are funding the RSF, and really, like, you know, you have corporations funding both sides of this war, and there are foreign actors, like foreign states, that are involved in this conflict, you know, from Russia to the United States to Britain. You know, they have to be found, you know, guilty of their complicity in this genocide as well. And you know, with that being said, I think you know, we have to find out like what companies are owned by the UAE. You know, what companies are affiliated with the UAE, and boycott those companies. That's something that, you know, we can do. Right?
Yeah, that's some work that certain people have been doing as well for Palestine as well, you know, with the Israeli companies, etc. And I think for us, you know, living in the West, that's the least that we can do, is be conscious as far as where we put our money. You know what I mean? That's the least we can do, that, and speak up as far as what's going on. But definitely, you know, I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, well, it really doesn't matter. Nah, it does, man. It does. You know, just being conscious as far as where you put your money, because for these motherfuckers, part of my language, but you know, where you put your money, that's how, you know, money talks for them. You know, that's all they care about. So, you know, definitely.
That's the point Dr. Amos Wilson made in the video too. He was talking about you know, the change by not spending their money with certain people, how that brought about, you know, a change in the relationship and policies. Like before there was even a law passed, you know, the you know, the black organizers in the South were able to affect change just from not spending their money or choosing where they spend their money at. So yeah, there's power in that, man.
Definitely. And especially when we get to do it in an organized manner. When we say, you know, when we get to do it like on a nationwide or even internationally, we say, okay, let's not consume from this place at least on that day or during this week. Like that's a hit. That's a hit for these corporations, you know. So so that's these are things that can be done and that should be done. You know what I mean? That's the least we can do from over here, living in these Western nations, in these imperialistic nations.
Yeah, and I think might not be able to do it now, but I can come up with a list of those companies.
That would be great. Yeah. We should do that.
We can.
Next time, maybe, hopefully, maybe by the end of the week or next week, we'll be able to share that list. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's you know, that got to be part of the work too, being able to inform the people of like where to go, how they can affect change. Because I know sometimes we'd be up here and we be going in on folks, man, talking about the. I mean, there's a lot happening. You know, it's
without a doubt.
Shit, but it can be it can be demoralizing, and you know, people can become a little not disappointed, but just like feeling, gloomy, feeling down about our whole situation. Depressing, I should say. It can come off and be depressing just talking about these issues around the world: genocide, ethnic cleansing, constant conflicts, the impacts of colonialism. But folks are organizing and doing something about it, though. So that is a reality, and we got to constantly be coming up with new ways of resistance. So that has to be our objective. But we have to be conscious of what's happening, though, right? We have to be aware of the issues and the contradictions to be able to develop the right type of solutions, I think. So, try to find some balance in it all,
That's right. I appreciate that, man. All right. Are we going, what are we doing? We going to, do we have one more story? We closing here, or are we going to Black Power break?
Do you have another story? Or we can wrap up, man.
We call it a day.
Say that again.
We call it a day.
Yeah, man.
Let's call it a morning.
let's call it a morning, man. This 7 o'clock start. I'm preparing for it.
Preparing for the 7 o'clock start coming up. Everybody be ready to tune in. To the Rise Up International Morning Show from 7 to 9 from now on. We're gonna be rocking that way. 7 to 9 Eastern. As my comrade Ikemba prepares to send us out, let me just say that we appreciate y'all. We appreciate everybody. Make sure you keep supporting if you can, through Patreon. That would be great, through Cash App, whatever you can. If you can't support monetarily, make sure you share the video. That always helps. Leave a comment. We got like Kalonji said earlier, we got a bunch of shows coming through. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow, the new Vital Hoops is dropping. I got one of my comrades will be on. He'll be on straight from Lomé, straight from the motherland. He'll be on. He's my comrade from the Pan-African League, and he's also a great hip hop artist. So make sure you check that out tomorrow. Always, we charge colonialism. Make sure you check out what they got going on over there. What y'all got going on? You want to share something, comrade?
Oh, this week, man, we kind of like preparing. At least myself, I'm going down to DC, but
okay.
I'll probably be doing another examination of Dr. Amos Wilson's book, Black on Black Violence. We just did something yesterday, so people can check that out. Go to, We Charge Colonialism, and, look for the Black on Black Violence series. Yeah, I just recorded it yesterday, man. Was going over chapter 4 in that book. So, looking to continue to cover that. So I may be continuing that conversation later on this week. Actually, this Thursday, I'm going to be giving a update on what's taking place in Sudan. So sort of like continuing this conversation that we started here on Sudan, going a little bit deeper into it. So that's this Thursday, but go to the platform and subscribe.
Sure. Appreciate that, comrade.
All right, so we out, man. Appreciate y'all. Until next time, Uhuru. Peace.
Rise up.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one. Well, the battle is to love yourself and function in society where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel. Running while it's crumbling, all these towers and they're babbling. But the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed. On my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull, then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces when it's on the field. Feeble and foolish, what tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution. It's real solutions. What we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky. A chariot's a swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my Sometimes the riot is a quiet one.